my wish list would be that the tax-free income, which is currently about 2.5 lakhs in the hands of the individual, should be raised to at least 5 lakhs, largely because this is due to, there's so much of inflation which has happened over the years, and one is aware that things have become so much costlier. So it's fair that the individual income tax limits are raised from 2.5 to 5 lakhs. This would definitely give a good big sentiment to the economy as such, because people will have more savings in their hands. Further, the deductions which are allowed under various sections also should be increased so that they match the inflationary trends which are there in the country. In terms of what I would further like to do, or like the finance minister to do, is to have significant spending on the education and the healthcare sector. This is largely because both these are very vital organs of the economy. Without primary education and without good healthcare, the nation cannot really progress. In order to kickstart the economy, it is very imperative that the finance minister announces various infrastructure projects, could be roads, bridges, power sector projects, which are viable and bankable. What we don't want is that it's a one-way street where the government only spends and nothing comes back. So we are looking at a model where there will be spending from the government side on projects which will pay back, both in terms of profits and in terms of over a period of time the money comes back to the government, and which will not therefore be a big drain on the government exchequer. So this is one thing which definitely is required from the government side, because once the government starts spending, it'll have a cascading effect on the entire economy. Deficit financing is, we may argue that this may increase the deficit of the country, but fair enough, today we're looking at 3.5% deficit, which is the targeted level of deficit. It may go by a few points, but I think that's still okay. A thing which I would like the government to look at is in the agri and food sector. Food prices need to come down, and there are a lot of grains today which are taxed, which have an indirect tax impact, and that really needs to come down today, so that at least the cascading effect of this on the common man when he finally buys the end food product is reduced. And this is very vital because we've seen so many prices of food going haywire compared to what the poor man can actually afford, and therefore it's vital that the government looks at this aspect and brings down the prices of food grains. Further, what we would like is that the government needs to consider incentives in terms of tax and customs duty exemptions on high-end agriculture machinery and equipment, which will indirectly go to boost agriculture production and therefore again have a positive cascading effect on the economy. So that also needs to come down. The government needs to look at that. Thirdly, the government needs to embark on huge infrastructure projects in the agri space, which is in the space of irrigation and storage. You've seen that across the country there are food grains which are rotting in places because there's no storage facilities. On the other hand, there is surplus on some other parts of the country. That needs to change, and we need to ensure food security. There has to be adequate storage facilities, both in terms of modern storage facilities, in terms of cold storage facilities, and that is something the government needs to kickstart. Similarly, it has to announce huge irrigation projects because without water you can't have a very vibrant agricultural sector. Now, both these sectors where the government can really play a role is, one is announcing this thing, or maybe saying that okay, those who set up these projects in irrigation and in the storage space, all inputs which go into it will be tax free. So therefore, what cement you purchase should be tax free, what steel you purchase over there should be tax free, and this again will make the project very viable, bankable, and have a positive impact on the entire economy.